Hi, it's Robyn,
And Gil.
and we are rocking the love
Absolutely.
right here in Southern California together. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are generally in different locations. Today, we are in our new home in Carlsbad, San Diego, California. I had to think about it. I sometimes don't know where I am.
It gets a little confusing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it turned out we're going to both be here for a day. So we're doing our show from here. Um, we're making new memories today, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, like us, because what's not to like? So we've been driving all night. I went to bed about 3:30 in the morning from Northern California to Southern California. So we're a little loopy. So I say that as a disclaimer to our show. If this is your first show that you're watching, try another. Look at one of our. You just reached across my face.
Sorry. See, we're a little loopy. Oh, wait. He didn't put up they're a married couple thing. I was expecting it after that.
Okay. So take two. Here we are. And join us, like our pages. We're going to be talking about memories today. Memories. Where do they go? Where do memories go, and what strikes a memory, and all of that. I think we have been moving, as I just said. Gil actually lives in Albuquerque, and I am now between Albuquerque and Carlsbad. And as we're on this journey and packing boxes, which any of you that have moved know is a daunting task, or can be, but you come across so many things that bring back memories. And then driving down streets and freeways and things, just memory after memory after memory after memory. So we're going to talk a little bit about memories. So let us know you're out there. And I don't know what else.
I don't know. Well, you may hear some sounds in the background because we're actually in the outdoor studio. So please work with that with us. We appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see, because last night, yesterday afternoon, I was noticing driving that I kept driving through different places that I've been to, that I've worked in, that I went to school in, where I rode my bike, where I went camping. And it was just crazy,
Yeah. Life is
I
crazy.
was looking for the building my dad used to work in. Just all kinds of memories.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. Hello, Shay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, yeah, and to talk about our week, it's our week has been a blur. It's just I really think, I mean, I think moving is an altered state. I really do. I mean, because you go into a different place of like letting go and release, and packing in boxes, and it's an interesting process.
Yeah, yesterday, we were up at 5 in the morning and packed and loaded and everything, and left at 12:30. We were partially packed already the day before, but this was the final push. And I reached up for something, and a couple of pictures fell down, and the glass broke out of them, and all this, and they were old pictures of my kids when they were little and me, and they were great. But it was like I had no concern other than grabbing the pictures. I didn't care about the frames, the glass. I had just like, forget it, throw it away. Just hold on to the pictures. That's it.
Is it yeah, which makes sense, but isn't it funny that also for 10 years that we've been in that house, you haven't looked at the pictures. You didn't
No,
know where they were. You never would have missed them if you hadn't seen them.
they were up there on top hiding from me.
Yeah, so it's an interesting process. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we'd love your comments. And Shay, thank goodness you're here, because I know you'll have some.
That's right.
And it's so much more fun when everybody plays along. So shoot us a message and let us know you're here to play along. And in the meantime, let's go to the good news.
Well, I have a little bit of good news.
Yes.
you know, most of us have pets or have had pets, right? And we've had cats, dogs, rabbits. I had a rat once when I was little. You had one too, didn't you?
I had guinea pig.
Guinea pig.
And I had hamsters.
Okay.
And I had a lizard.
And a lizard.
And fish. And a duck.
And a duck. Oh, everybody's got to have a duck. Yeah, our godson has a duck. Not here, but he has a duck. So anyway, there's a study recently that looked at cats, and they were at a cat cafe, and they were looking at the cats and determined that they had at least 300 different facial expressions that express their emotions. So we've all sat there and said, oh, they're so expressive. Look at them. They're smiling. They're not happy. They're they're hungry. They're, and we think we're just kind of like putting it on them. And I'm wondering,
can you speak from the eye?
Well, we as humans in general. But yeah, I'm wondering if really, they're way more advanced than we think. And I think that's how it is. I mean, I think the tendency is to think they're not as advanced, but you know what? They are. They are. I believe it.
They are.
Hola, Myrna.
Hi, Myrna. Welcome. Bienvenidos. Yeah, that's a great story. That's a great story, though. Because it does, in some ways, it does like validify. Is that a word?
Validify, yeah.
Yeah, just what we see, because we do see our pets smile.
Yeah.
That's great. So my story is similar, not similar, but sweet in sweetness. My story is about a group of kids or a couple in Oregon, actually, who were looking at their ring videotape from their doorbell on Halloween night. And they had put out a bowl because they weren't there, that said, be kind, just take a few pieces so that there's some for everyone, kind of thing. And what they saw when they looked at their ring video was kids putting their candy back in, like donating their candy when the bowl was empty. and it was a video of like these three girls, and they were like, oh, the candy's out, let's give them some of ours. And they witnessed it happen more than once, and just, it was so sweet. It went viral. The video has gone viral, and it was on Facebook and all of that. And the parents, one of the parents chimed in. She goes, I don't mean to brag, but that was my daughter that started that. And they're like, it shows that they were raised well. But I mean, it was just so sweet that they had this conversation on the thing, like, no, little kids are going to come along and want candy. They said, we see the big kids take it and run around and are crazy, but little kids won't have something. And they wanted to make sure there was something there for them.
Wow.
And it's just, I mean, yeah, it's just such a symbol of, each one reach one, each one teach one. Because if it's happening there, it's, they're going to continue to take that out into the world. And I just thought it was a super beautiful thing. So
our producer would have taken all the candy. So, but I think that goes to something even deeper, and that's this idea that truly we are created good. I think there's that innate thing to want to give, to want to support others. Don't you think?
I do think that. And also, though, I would say it also goes to, a lot of times you hear us talk about teenagers and the angst with raising them, and those stages where you think nobody's hears a thing you're saying. But it really speaks to, kids do know what to do. They know the right thing to do. If they have been raised the right way, or with whatever values, they do go out and do them, and they know.
Well, even in the midst of their craziness, I think it's true for all of us, even in the midst of sometimes our craziness, we still know what's right. And we still, when push comes to shove in certain situations, we show up, even when we don't show up with perhaps partners or family or any of those things.
Yeah. Well, it goes to what we hear a lot in Science of Mind when people say, we know the truth of who you are. We know the truth. Apparently, my dog testifies that she too knows the truth. But you know what I mean? We do know the truth. We know the right way to be. So I think that it's important. It's important to trust that people are knowing.
Yeah, kids are still listening even when you don't think so. And I think that's always true. And kids
So
are watching, more importantly.
kids are like wives. They're always listening. You when you don't want them to.
That's right.
All right. Well, that was super sweet. I love those stories. So we are going to take a break and we are going to come right back here. And memories. Think about memories. Don't sing though. I want to bust into song. Anyway, we're going to be right back here after this break on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Hello, and we are back. We are Robyn.
And I'm Gil. And wherever you are, morning, evening, noon, or night, welcome to Rockin the Love.
Welcome to Cynthia out there. We see you. Good to see you here. So we're going to talk about memories today. And I forgot there was something I wanted to say, but I can't remember what it is. Okay, so we're going to talk about memories. Where where did they go? This topic got sparked from our trip driving down to Southern California and moving this week, because one of the things that you may have heard Gil say sometime was he was talking about when I would find papers, and I have all these papers that I haven't gotten rid of that are like, notes I passed to my BFFs in 5th grade and things like that. But the challenge is that I still know my BFFs and we're still BFFs. So like we all got together and we looked at them and read them and, laughed at them. And like, I was like, now what do I do with them? Is that moment over? Do I throw them away? And then where will that memory go? And different pictures as we were packing up that I saw that I thought, oh my God, I never would have thought of that again. And that was kind of, a little bit sad, but it's just like, there's so many memories we have, and where are they, and how do you access them? And is it important to access them, and all of that? And believe me, we would love your input, because we don't have a lot of data on this today. We're just talking and seeing what comes up. So
I think it's interesting because I just realized that, as you said, you got these papers and they trigger the memory. There's something there that clicks you in. And there's so many different things that click me in. I was noticing last night, driving along, I saw the exit for El Capitan Beach, and I immediately thought of the trip I did with my high school friends after graduation. That's where we went for our senior trip, the 6 of us or whatever it was. We went there and spent 3 days camping, and all that came back to me immediately, and all I saw was a sign,
right.
And the question is, so did I need the sign to remember it? Did the sign just trigger it? Would I have thought of it anyway at some other time? Is it important when I think about it? Because what's the value in it? I think the interesting thing is it made me think of all my friends. It made me think of all that stuff. And it that brings a certain warmth and comfort. But is it really important?
Well, and did you was something happening in that moment that you needed to think about that? Like, we don't know what's happening with your 6 friends from high school or whatever. Like, is there, in that moment, did you all connect in some alternate plane of thought? What does it all mean? I think
that's a really good question,
right?
Because we all know that, so and so calls us and we go, God, I've been thinking about you all day. I've been thinking I need to call you. Right? That happens to me every so often. And it's like, well, why was I thinking about them? Was it a memory I couldn't access? Was it some kind of communication? Like I said, was the memory triggered in part by the sign, but also because we were all connected in communicating in that moment on some level that's outside of what we're used to or what we recognize.
And Cynthia says, memories are in your consciousness and your cells. Yeah, I believe that. That's what I told Gil. I was like, because when he was like, why can't you throw that away? I'm like, you don't understand that you pick up a piece of paper and you go, yeah, I don't know. And you throw it away. I pick up a piece of paper and I'm like, oh my God, this was the time when I walked by John Travolta in my restaurant and he handed me this piece of paper and said, can you throw this away or whatever? I'm making that up. That didn't happen. But we have a story. I have a story. He laughs because he picked up I picked up a piece of paper and showed it to him and he's like, oh my God, that's from my friend Valerie's Sweet 16. Yeah, so there's to me, there's no time and space. I'm immediately transported to that Sweet 16. So it's interesting that you say that, Cynthia, because yes, I think that the memories are in the cells, but so what does that mean? My cells are more conscious than his because he can't remember, or he doesn't remember, or I guess you don't choose to. I don't, like, how does that how does that line up? It's not like we all go, oh, like in some science fiction movie, we'd touch something and we'd all have that memory that.
Right. Right. Well, I was just thinking, you mentioning that, and I have very vivid memory of my 16th birthday party. I mean, I remember my mom, I remember the whole setup, I remember the people coming, I remember the 2 Best of Bread albums I got. Um, and so it's not as if I think it all disappears. It's just a different level and a different way that we access it. Like you mentioned that, and
And
it comes back to me. And I suppose if I'd seen a picture, it probably would have come back to me,
maybe, but I think it's also dependent on our experience, right? So depending upon your experience of your 16th birthday, I mean, maybe you remember that because that was a really good time for you,
Right. Right.
but if it hadn't been, maybe you block it. So what's Shay saying? Shay says that everything we really need to remember will be available. We cannot deal easily with every single memory. Believe me, I've had to, and it's not fun. If I want to remember something important, I make a vision board journal or a shirt. Yeah, but have you moved since you made those?
Yeah. Not a good idea, Shay. Stop that. Stop making stuff to remember things, because eventually you're going to go through all that stuff and go, I can't carry all this. Oh my goodness. At
Well,
least that's our experience.
I mean, maybe you're super creative, and like I have a vision sometimes like that I'll have some kind of art exhibit somewhere. But even then I think, and then what do I do with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that makes sense. And she says just a few examples. Repetition is super important. Oh, it's digital. Nice.
That's helpful.
Well, but helpful, but interesting, because I find the same in the digital stuff, right? So we literally were throwing out VHS tapes and floppy disks.
Right.
What's on them? I don't know. I couldn't pretend to be able to get that stuff back to even figure that out. I just had to go, bless it and let it go. But I mean, and the same with my computer. It's so unorganized. It's like chaos. Like you probably do, Shay. I don't have like, specific files. I can find files. Oh, it's just not good. There's not, explaining my system that doesn't exist would not be a good system, as Myrna could attest to if she's still here. I mean, I break into a sweat when I have to go on Google Docs. I don't understand.
Well, here's my question. What is our experience of a memory that we share with someone else?
Mm-hmm.
And I say it happened this way, and you say it happened that way.
Yeah.
And what is that about? How is it that we can have a memory of the same kind of thing or the same experience? Well, let me rephrase that. The same situation or the same event, and have totally different memories of what that event was, what it meant, how it felt. I mean, obviously we're individuals, so it's all perspective.
Right.
But one of the things I was reading that's really fascinating to me is that memory really sucks. It's not accurate. The memories in our brains are not very accurate in reality. So, like in court, one of the things that they know is that, in fact, the eyewitness is sometimes the worst, whatever the word is. I can't think of the right word. But anyway, it's not valid quite often. It's not accurate because people think they saw something because somebody set somebody up to see it. It's the thing where
because somebody describes it, and
or
we take it on.
somebody goes in and they they show them some picture and then they give a lineup and that same person's in the lineup. Suddenly the memory says, oh, I've seen them before.
Right.
And that's the one, even though that's not the one, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, so why do we do it that way?
Well, memory is highly suggestive. It's highly suggestive. So we can alter someone's memory can be altered by various things. Whether they retell the story in their head and they just slightly tweak it, or they add something and then it goes on, you know. We've all heard the fish story,
Yeah.
right? It was 10 pounds and then it was 30 pounds and
Yeah.
and then it was so big that it knocked Uncle Bob over. And I mean,
Right.
sort of that expanding thing. And that happens with positive memories, negative memories, etc. But if somebody suggests, well, this is what happened, sometimes we'll mold that into our own quote memory, and then there it is.
Right.
And I think that's highly that has a huge effect on relationships, because if we take stuff in and then put it into our memory of situations, we can have a memory of a situation which is totally inaccurate in terms of what's really going on between the two people, or what the other person really did or really was intending, and yet it becomes our belief, it becomes our memory.
Well, and then so we end up back at the space of, is it all an illusion?
Yeah, it's all baloney anyway.
No, but is it all an illusion? I mean, you know what I mean? If you can look at something and describe it one way, and I could look at something and describe it another way, and we were in the same place at the same time and we saw two different things, like, I don't know, is it all an illusion?
Well, yeah, and how hard. Okay, what just came to me is the assassination of President Kennedy, and the people on the grassy knoll and the whole thing. It's everyone was viewing one particular situation from very different angles, but only certain perspectives were allowed into the official narrative. The corporate memory, if you will, to bolster the particular story. And that's what we do with a lot of things. We take
create
in certain memories and that supports my theory of what was going on, or my thought about what was going on.
Well, we manipulate them for the story we want.
Right.
Oh, it's exhausting.
Perception. Yes, it is perception. And yes, but the point is, which perceptions are allowed into like a corporate memory, an official memory, and and even for ourselves, what perception are we taking into our memory, and how is that going to affect how we interact with particular people from that point forward? Because we're dealing with our own thought about something, not necessarily with the something.
With the something.
Yeah, the something being the particular situation or event, but our thought about it is what we're really have in memory.
Well, and yeah, okay. So what's coming to me right now is I'm thinking about phones, and our producer has made it clear that we are old floppy disks and bread albums. You've been on the planet for a while.
Yes, indeed. I love the planet.
or we're good historians. Anyway, and we carry a lot of stuff around from our parents. Oh my God, a garage full of stuff from. Anyway, I found my great grandmother's Bible in there from 1897. So yeah, we carry a lot
and a whole pile of your grandfather's books that he published.
Yeah.
I mean, a big chunk of them.
Yeah, but so what I was gonna say was, like pictures, photos, how we used to always have them in a shoebox, right? Or in a scrapbook or in a photo album. And, people could whip it out and tell stories, but now we have them all on our phone. And, then our memories get full and our OneDrive needs to be backed up and our this and our that. But like, I rarely whip out my phone to tell a story and show pictures. I mean, yes, I'll show one or two if it's pertinent to whatever's happening, but not like, I don't know, when I was growing up and like there were pictures and you looked at them like a book and you were like, oh, and then that day we went to the beach and here we were climbing Machu Picchu or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's like, so is that storytelling, and will that memory go away sooner?
And is that memory accurate? Because again, you're just getting snapshots. It's really like Instagram or something now. It's those snapshots that we see that we believe is the story. And that becomes our memory of whatever that is. That's what we think of. If somebody says, what about so and so? We go, oh, well, they're blah, 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 blah.
But is that true? I'm telling the story. If I'm telling the story of my trip to Mexico or whatever, it's my story. I mean, it's my memory.
Right. Right. But it's more than likely only a partial story.
I don't know. I'm not sure I can get down with that, but okay. Shay says we project out what we believe and that will influence our perception and memory. New Thought 101.
New Thought 101. Did I miss that class? Daggone it. Yeah, obviously a lot of stuff. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the idea that it's all about perception and it's all about what we project out. And that's why, Ernest Holmes says thoughts are things, and we can change our thinking and change our life because it's our thought that then determines what we believe about the rest of it, and then we have a belief, and then and it spirals.
Yes. Cynthia says all in the Akashic records. Yes. Yes. It is. And what that makes me think, like, so, when we were going through our garage and, when I was throwing something away, I was realizing, wow, I don't think I ever would have had that memory again. Okay, I could be wrong, but I don't think I just wouldn't have thought of whatever it was I was thinking of. And I think, like, so I think, is that true? So it's in the Akashic records, it's in our DNA, it's in our cells. And we don't, if we're not accessing it. And then I think about Gil's parents, who both had Alzheimer's. And I think about like the knowingness, if anyone knows anyone with dementia or Alzheimer's, like, and they start to tell their stories and different things. But there's also a place where you can see them go back to these memories and that they're so real. So it's
They're
like
so vivid.
They're so vivid and they're calling them forth and they're talking to their parents and they're, all of those and
even from there's that place where you can see in someone like that, even though they seem to not have memory of anything recent or understanding, they will peek into this realm where they know everything that's going on. And they're getting everything. So I was thinking about this idea of Akashic records and that kind of stuff. And the question is, is there a difference between the record and my memory? I mean, my memory of what's going on or what has happened is influenced by my belief about someone. We have my memory of the Cosby Show is now different since Bill Cosby has gone through all of the stuff of being accused and convicted of rape and whatever it is. And suddenly my memory of that has shifted, but has the show, there's nothing about the show that's changed.
Is that true that your memory has shifted, or do
Well-
you just have judgment or a different perception of who he is as opposed to who you thought he was? Because you were you were believing he was that character more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I don't
'cause
know. It's a good
I'm
question.
thinking about that with like different sports people that have, done something wrong or whatever. But like, if I think about, here, I'll pull up another oldie for you, Michael. If I think about like Pete Rose and all the controversy around him and the things he did, and then him not being able to be in the Hall of Fame, that doesn't stop me from thinking I mean, he still to me was an amazing baseball player. He still to me, I mean, what he did and the things he did, even though I didn't like them all either. I mean, the way he played the game is the way he played the game. You know what I mean? Or OJ Simpson. When I think about how amazing he was, and all of those things, that doesn't change for me. What saddens me is that it doesn't sadden me. I mean, it saddens me that my perception of them isn't as, squeaky clean as I would like it to be. I don't even know how to say it, but you know what I mean? But I don't, it doesn't change my memory.
Okay. Yeah. But our memory, okay, so maybe more accurately, and maybe I'm thinking our memory can shift our perception of something in the moment because we remember something, and that influences what we think about what we're seeing right now.
Robyn keeps hitting on nostalgia. Do we need to remember the note to the BFF? No. Is it kind of fun? Yes. Do we need the piece of paper? No. I threw out boxes of memorabilia and I still remember. Yeah. No, it's not that I think that obviously once you've touched it again, and especially if you're throwing it out, I think it goes to a different place. You go, oh, and then you have that locked in. However, if I hadn't opened the box in the first place and I had just thrown it away, or if I had just thrown it away, in grade school, I wouldn't remember it in the same way, because when I look at it and it says, oh my God, did you see how cute Brad is today? And oh, look, Steve was looking at you in class, and all those kind of things. The specifics are what makes it funny, or you know what I mean? That kind of thing. But no, I get it. I get it. No, I get it.
Well, like you asked me after looking at some stuff, how I got a C in PE.
Oh yeah. Yeah, report cards. Old report cards.
Oh my gosh, from forever ago. Didn't know I had them, didn't remember it, but as soon as she said that, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
So it's like, it's somehow the memory may be there, although I don't know if you ever would have thought about when you got a C in PE. Like, I couldn't tell you my grades. I could tell you one grade through in high school, and that's because there's a story that goes along with it. But I couldn't tell you any other grade. But if I looked on my report card and then saw that I got, a C in something or an F in something or whatever, I'd be like, oh yeah, oh yeah. And I'd remember a story, you know what I mean? Or a time.
So is memory, is it important to have memories? Is it important to our functioning to have a history that we hold within us? I got a B in bowling. That's perfect. A B in bowling. What could you do? I got a T in tennis too. Oh no, that's a different thing. Sorry.
Okay. So ask that question again.
I mean, is it important? Is it important? Is it important to have memories? I mean, to access memory for what does memory, what purpose does it serve for us, I guess? Like, how does memory serve us in our relationship? How does memory serve us with our parents and our kids? How does,
Well, I mean, on some level, a memory is everything, right? I mean, otherwise we wouldn't remember to stop at a red light. We wouldn't remember to, anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's that basic primal function memory that is needed. But I think you're talking about like the next level, right?
Yeah, but that's an interesting point. I hadn't really thought about that, because that is a form of memory, because that's something I quote know, and what we know we've filed. And so as soon as something happens, we access the file somehow to tell us what to do. I mean, or how to respond,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I guess that explains how memories are important. That was a good example. I think that explains how memories are important, because that memory, whether or not I'm conscious of the memory itself, it's going to inform what I do next. For instance, with your red light story, in Albuquerque, when people see a red light, they don't worry about it. Apparently it's a different memory there.
Well, I think that's more and more everywhere. I mean, definitely in Oakland.
Okay, that was a little inaccurate,
But
but people push them a little harder there.
yeah, I mean, and again, it reminds me of what's the movie that you got me for 50 First Dates?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
Drew
wow.
Barrymore movie, where every day she woke up and did the same thing.
Yeah, she it's sort of Groundhog Day-ish, except she doesn't remember that it happened. And so she wakes up at a certain point in her life, and every day she's at the same point. And that speaks a lot to this idea of memory and how important it is.
Cynthia says memories are always fun to revisit. At some future time, it may not be important to keep notes and pictures. No, I think that's true. I
Yeah.
think that's true. And I mean, definitely, as we were cleaning things out, it's like, as you get to a certain stage in life, you start to think, okay, who's going to care when I go? Are my kids going to sit there and read my note to so-and-so? And do they care about Brad and Steve and whoever? No, but really, you know what I mean? I mean, and if they do, it's going to be like cute ones. However, again, in the box, I didn't look at them all because we were at the last minute and I just pushed it back into a box. There were love letters from my grandparents to each other when they were apart, So like that, then memories become history, right? And clearly history is deemed important. We have museums, we teach people about things that have happened in the past. So it's like, how do I know my notes about Brad and Steve aren't important? Maybe they'll end up in a museum. Who knows?
Well, yeah, I was thinking about cars, and I was thinking about all the kinds of things that we have, but anything that like evolves over time, and you pull it out and you go, this is old, it doesn't work well, I'm getting rid of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 20 years later you pull it out and go, that's kind of interesting, I wonder what we could do with that. And 20 years after that you pull it out and go, oh my god, this is so cool, how can we fix it, where can we get parts, how can we make it work right, because it was so cool. And it's like there's this weird curve that goes on in how we view the value of things. And like you said, yeah, if you and I were to suddenly, have 4 million viewers on our thing, would our notes, would our grades, would any of that be more important?
But on some, I mean, again, it's all relative. It's all perception, right? Would it be more important? I don't know, because if one person hears something that it becomes important or is sparks them, one person, then it's important, right? So if we're talking about our notes and our this and our that, whether it's because it helps people get to know us more and that's why we have 4 million viewers, or whether it's because it gives them permission to then throw away their box of notes, or whatever it is. I mean, in some version is important, right? I mean, it's our version of Rockin the Love. It's our version of creating that space where the love is the thing. And, sometimes the love is in boxes,
Well, I think you just hit on it, and that is that it's about the love. It's if we can take our memories and allow them to lift us and promote our well-being and promote well-being of others around us, then that's great. But I think sometimes people hold on to memories that are just pain and anguish. I love old fountain pens and antique books. Thanks, Cynthia.
Oh, good. I think I have one for you in
At
my
least
box.
one.
Well, there was one that kept showing up in this box. I kept thinking I was putting it out, but I think I have one for you. But then there's that. That's a whole different thing of like, if you love old books and antique fountain pens, are you collecting them? And if you're collecting them, that's great. And then what?
Right.
Yeah. And then what? Like I found things in my boxes that I collected when I was a kid, right? I collected watches at one point, and I collected buttons at another point. And so there's a whole bunch of buttons.
And we had this box this tall full of matchbooks.
Matches, yeah, because everywhere, you went to a restaurant, and that was back in the day, right, where they had matches. So like all these different matches. So now what? I mean, I guess you put them on eBay and somebody else is still in their process. Like our mentors say, you only have to be one step ahead of your people to teach. So you'll have to be one step of your people to release too, because there's someone waiting to take it.
Someone else waiting to take, yeah.
And that's the thing too about moving and letting go, is that portion was painful, letting go, because I know that some of the stuff is valuable for other people. I know that there are people out there. So it's like, and I swear, I think this is all about the oneness, y'all, because when I was little, I used to like cry when I had to throw away a Kleenex, not that I didn't, not that I saved them, but I mean, I just could feel the pain in my body. I could feel the pain when like the flowers died in the vase. And I was like, what's wrong with me? Until one day I went, when I first went to Agape, I walked in and he was talking about, it's normal that, not normal, he didn't say that, but he said, well, he was explaining that if you feel something when you're like throwing away paper or smashing boxes or whatever, you're dealing with a tree that has been cut down, and the oneness to the earth and the this and the that. And I was like, yeah. So I feel that with my stuff. I just, it's like, not, it doesn't define me necessarily. However, I feel like it's a part of me, and it's not so much releasing it entirely as it is like when it's being destroyed. And on that same note, how could it be destroyed? Right?
How can it be destroyed? Yeah. How can it be anything but transformed and transmuted into something else, something different, something new?
Oh man, I'm exhausted. That was like going back in and cleaning my garage all over again. Whew.
Well, it's really interesting. I mean, I think this memory thing is fascinating and how it connects to everything, everything. And like you said, and when you hang on to things, I I think we hang on to stuff somehow thinking that I think Shay kind of said this, that the memory is not really, it doesn't need that piece of paper. It doesn't need that to be there. But I think sometimes people are afraid they'll lose memory. They'll lose something if they let go of that piece of paper, that thing. And I think what's come to me is to cherish the memories in the moment and to let go of the stuff I don't need. Be lighter. Walk lighter.
Yeah.
Because I think I can be much more effective if I'm really present to what's going on and just allow myself to focus on what's coming forth.
Well, and I think that I think that there's no right and wrong
No.
to this situation. I think, once again, at the end of the day, it all comes down to balance. And I think, if it brings you joy, and it's in a box and you read the note again and whatever, and it brings you joy, great. If you're ready to release it, great. If you need to keep it, want to show it to somebody else, whatever that is, you do it. And I think the key is to just stay on top of that, to really, because what I've found in this moving process is that things we started throwing away in the beginning of the week or 2 weeks ago that I wouldn't have thrown away, I was ready to throw away by the end of the 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So it's a process. And I think you've got to be gentle and just really breathe into it and think about what you're creating now. What are you creating now? Like when I looked at our house get packed into, how big is that truck?
Too big.
Yeah. Super big, super big. And especially because there's very little furniture. There's a lot of boxes. But I realized, well, we certainly can't pick up and move to Costa Rica because we have way too much stuff, so like, what am I wanting to create now? Not that that's what I want to create, but if I did, I like the idea to think I could get up and go.
Yeah. I mean, I think, it would almost be, the Storage Wars thing. We would have to like auction off our block of stuff and then goodbye,
Yeah.
As a block.
Yeah. Cynthia says, be lighter and cherish the memories. Balance is great.
Balance is good.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Be lighter, because there was an exorbitant amount of little pieces of paper and receipts and movie tickets from certain movies that I went to see, not necessarily because they meant anything, but because, it was a receipt and I should keep it or whatever. So it's just really being mindful, I think, and being attentive.
And I think, thank you, Cynthia, for that comment. I think that's really probably the thing about memory overall is be light with it, enjoy it, and don't take it too seriously. It's good. And I think at some level, even don't believe everything you remember. Because it may or may not be completely accurate. But be light, allow things to move through. We can't keep absorbing and without getting stuck, I think.
Yeah. And I think, I think if you do that, you'll find the balance. If you, go to your closet on a regular basis and really see what you don't wear or what doesn't serve you, or your files or any of those things, and just be mindful and think about what you want to create, because it's all about our intention, right? And what we want to put out into the world. So that said, we just want to thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you so much, Shay. Thank you, Shay, for sending the thing you sent to Gil for me.
Oh, yes.
The little quote. And I really appreciated that. And thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching. And feel free to send us any ideas you have or anything you want the show to be about. We'd love to.
You can email us at
Robyn and Gil.
at rockinthelove.com.
Robyn with a Y.
Robyn with a Y.
Gil with one L.
Gil with an I. Okay.
Okay. All right. So I think that's it, everybody. There's a butterfly flying around in front of our little trees out here, and it's super beautiful. So go out and find the beauty today. And we're just so glad that you were with us. And you know what to do. Keep on rocking the love, everybody. See you next week.